again. All right, so I've been stitching. I most certainly have. And actually, I continued on with the basis of the octagon, and I did so far a total of 33 rounds, including from the center all the way out to the outer edge. Yes. And to give you an idea as to how much yarn I actually ended up using, I used 2 skeins. All right, so far. Okay. Now, I also did one of the sleeves as well. And for this part here, I'm going to show you how to do one yourself. But I didn't think it was necessary to show you both sleeves. So as you can see, it is completely seamless. Here is the, sort of the armpit area. And aside from what we had done previously, it is completely seamless. And also, it is a very gradual decrease with the tapering of the sleeve. And I didn't sew in my end, you'll have to excuse me. But after a gradual decrease near the end, I then do a fairly drastic decrease and then some ribbing for the cuff. Okay, now, like I said, I'm not going to do both sleeves on camera, but I wanted to show you what one of them looks like. And of course, you can make this end cuff as long as you want to, but this is what I did. Now, as far as the sleeve itself, what worked for me and the length of my arms, it was 36 rounds, and then I started in with my decrease and my ribbing. So that being said, we shall get started with this sleeve. Now, what is important to remember is that you have a top and a bottom to your jacket. Therefore, you also have a top and bottom to your sleeve. Now, what I did was I left off at the bottom of my jacket. Okay, this is where the joining happens for new rounds and so forth. So, going to skedaddly-do up to here, and this is my sleeve opening. So we're going to start right down here, okay, and we're going to go from there. Alrighty. Okay, by the way, this is how much left I have after doing one of the sleeves. If I'm not mistaken, I should have plenty to do the second sleeve and maybe add some of the remaining ball to the perimeter of my jacket for the ribbing and so forth. I might do a couple more rounds and then start in on the ribbing, but, just to give you a ballpark idea, okay? So let me get my yarn in my yarn bowl and pull out a bit, and let's go. Okay, so like I said, I am starting at the bottom of the sleeve because that way when you are doing your rounds and you slip stitch and you chain up and you go to the next round, the seam, okay, which is not very noticeable, but that seam will be at the bottom of your sleeve as opposed to along the top where it is far more visible. So there's a reason why I mention these things. Okay, so we're going to start down here. And now we have here this open space, okay? And so what I like to do is, let me see here. Okay, so we have this open space here, and we're going to do a decrease down here to start with, and it's going to be every other round is going to have a decrease. Now, just pull up a loop like so, and chain up 2. And then we're going to go into this space, not into the stitch, but into the space right here with a double crochet. And we can pull out this tail, we can sew it in later, not a big deal. All right, so now going to go into this actual stitch with a double crochet, and really quite simply, we're just going to be doing double crochets all the way until we reach the top of the sleeve. And when we do, going to show you another decrease that happens up there because we have another eyelet up there that we have to deal with. And then I'm going to show you how I deal with this, because this is the chain that we worked into before. Well, it's very difficult to work into the chain, and also if you're just going into one of those loops, it's not very substantial, so I'm going to show you what to do about that. In the meantime, I'm going to do my double crochets all the way to the top, and then I'll meet back up with you. Okay, so I'm almost done with the first edge of the sleeve, almost at the top. And this first round is going to be the only round in which we do 2 decreases. Otherwise, it's just at the very, very beginning. So I'm almost there. Okay, so now, as you can see, I have this loop here and this loop here. Well, we're going to do a decrease, so going to yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2. Don't finish the double crochet. Go into the second loop after yarning over, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, and then pull through all 3 loops for your decrease. And that sort of brings it together a little bit, which works for me. All right, so now to go down this edge here, let me just sort of finagle and scoot things a little bit here. It's really tricky working with such a large project in front of the camera, but I carry on. Okay, so right now, as you can see, working into that chain would be rather difficult. So instead, I work in between the posts of the double crochets. So that being said, yeah, let's go into, you could skip this one and go into the next one. I'm going to go in between here, in between these 2 stitches here with my next double crochet. Right in between. And then the next one goes in between these two posts, these 2 stitches here. See? Right in between them. Pull out some more yarn. And then go in between the next 2 double crochets. And what I really like about this is that there's no sewing and there are no seams, and it just has a clean look to it, I think. So yeah, all you're doing is just going in between the posts of the previous row. And when you think about it, you're really not going to see the fact that you're not going into stitches, that you're going in between stitches. You're really not going to notice. Blends in very, very nicely. So I'm just going to get myself down to the end of this round. And then I'm going to show you how to start your next round as well, which we're not going to be doing any decreasing for the next round. Now, keep in mind, okay, what I'm doing with this project, this is open to debate. You know, this is open to personalization. If you find that the sleeves ultimately are way too billowy for your personal preference, you can do more decreasing than I am, by all means. But the only thing is that when you're doing that, is it can be tricky to figure out the rate of decrease so that your piece will have the length of the sleeves that you want it to have. That can be a little bit tricky. Okay, because initially I did like a decrease every 2 rounds. It was way, way, way too billowy. All right, so we're almost there. Okie dokie. And then when you reach the end of the round, I'm going to join with a slip stitch. See, I just got this one more to go. There we go. And then, that's all we've got, because there's that stitch. I don't want to go in between these 2 stitches, so going to slip stitch into the top of, see where we did our decrease here and here to make that one. I'm going to go into the top of this one here with a slip stitch, like so. And then actually I find it easier if you take this tail and you pull it out. The stitch isn't going to go anywhere, but this is a great way of marking where the beginning of your round is. Okay, so from here, the next round that we're going to do, no decreases. It's just stitch for stitch, real easy. But what I would recommend, though, is when you're beginning the round, instead of chaining up 3 and counting that as your first double crochet, chain up 2, and then into that same stitch, do a double crochet. Because the chain 2 gives you the height that you need, and also it fills in the space that you would have if you just did a chaining up of 3. Okay, so for this round, it's just going to be after chaining up of 2, double crochet into that first stitch. Just do a double crochet into every double crochet all the way around, and that's what I'm going to do off camera. And then I'm going to show you the join and then how to start the following round. I'll be right back. All right, so I'm almost done with the second round. Just got to do 2 more double crochets, and then we'll do the join. Okay, and right into here. Very good. And then we have the slip stitch join to the top here, not into the chain 2, but into the actual double crochet. There we go. So as you can see, that chain 2, it sort of fills in the gap that would have been there if it was a chain 3 initially. Okay, so now, like I said, every other round, this round we had a decrease. Well, the next round we have a decrease. So going to chain up 2, again, to fill in the gap. Then into this first stitch, start a double crochet, but don't finish it. And then yarn over, going into the next, start your double crochet, and then pull through all 3 loops, like so. So you're going to do this every other round, only at the beginning of the round. Otherwise, every other round, you're just doing your chain up 2 and double crochet into that first stitch. So every other round, you are decreasing by 1 stitch. Now, yes, like I said, I know it is a very gradual, very subtle tapering, but it does help, okay? Especially if you've got long arms. If, however, you have considerably shorter arms, nothing wrong with that. You might want to do some more decreasing than I'm doing for my example. Personal preference, quite all right. All right, so what I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to continue on with this round and many more for the rest of my sleeve. Now, when you reach the end of this round, your last double crochet would be into here, and then your slip stitch would be into the top of this group right here, right into the top there. That's where you're going to slip stitch. And then the next round would be chain up 2 and double crochet into the same stitch because it's a non-decrease round. Okay, so what's up to you is to do as many of these rounds as you need in order to obtain the length of your sleeve. Now, it's sort of a subjective thing as far as length goes. Personally, I'm more of a fan of sleeves that might be a little bit too long as opposed to sleeves that are a little bit too short. Okay. Personal preference, of course. So, what I would suggest is make your sleeve the length to just past your wrist. Okay. Just past your wrist. And then we will do the sort of drastic decrease for the cuff and then the ribbing that I will show you how to do in just a moment. All right, so I will be right back. I'm just going to work on my sleeve and I will see you soon. Okay, keep stitching. Go for it. Alrighty, so I did my 36 rounds for my sleeve. You may need to do more or less, of course, depending upon the length of your arms. And after getting to where I am, I only have that much left of the skein, which I used for the first sleeve and for this second sleeve. So I'm going to have to go into my fourth skein for the finishing of the rounds around the entire circumference of the piece. Now, when your sleeve is long enough, like I said before, we're going to do sort of a drastic decrease. Up until this point, we've been decreasing one stitch every other row. So you can see right here is a decrease because you got those 2 stitches with the one going into it. And then down here, and so on and so forth. Every other row, you've got one decrease. So it's gradual. It's, a tapering of sorts, but a gradual taper. Okay, so when you are ready to do your drastic decrease, which should be, I would say, just past the wrist, what you want to do is to chain up 2 and just decrease every 2 stitches together. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So going in, pulling up 2, and then going into the next one, yarning over, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, and then pull through all 3. So you have your first decrease. And then going to do it again. Pull up a loop, pull through 2, yarning over, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, pull through all 3 loops. So you've got 2 decreases. So just going to do this all the way around. Now, if with your count, if you don't have an even number, excuse me, if you don't have an even number of stitches, that is okay. That is a minor point. It's quite all right. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to take away from your piece. It's not going to matter. Of course, it's nice when things line up, but it's okay. So, just going to go all the way around, doing my decreasing, and then when we get to the beginning again, I'll show you what to do next. Be right back. Alrighty, so I'm just about at the end here, and oh, lo and behold, I only have 1 stitch more to work in. I just did all of my decreases all the way around, and I just have 1 stitch. So, quite simply, I am just going to go into that stitch with a double crochet. It really doesn't matter. It's fine. And then from there, do a slip stitch into the top of the first decrease. Very simple. And that is the end of your drastic decrease. Okay, now it may not look terribly drastic right now, but on the following round, you'll notice it, trust me. So we're going to start right in with our ribbing Okay. Now, typically, before doing ribbing, you would do a round of double crochets, but considering the decreasing nature of the previous round, I found that if you just go straight into the ribbing, it looks a lot nicer. So I'm going to start by chaining up two. And what we're going to do is we're going to, this is kind of unorthodox, but what we're going to do is do a front post around this first post, okay, like so. And then skipping that second post. And so basically, we're only going into the first post of each cluster of two double crochets that were double crocheted together. I know it sounds really weird, but it works. So we're going to skip this one here, and we're going to go around the next one. But around the next one, we're going to do a back post. So going around and doing a back post, double crochet, like so. So it's every other one. So again, going to skip this next one, and then around this one here, do a front post. So it's front post, back post, front post, back post, but we are skipping every other stitch, okay? So again, the next one's going to be a back post. And then skipping one and doing a front post. And skipping the next one, and then doing a back post. And like I said, I know this is very weird and unorthodox, but then again, so am I. So going to do this all the way around, doing front post, back post, front post, back post, front post, back post, being sure to skip stitches down here, okay? So I will meet back up with you when I've gotten all the way around. I will show you the join and how to do your following round. I did a total of 3 of these ribbing rounds. You can do however many you like, of course, but I'll be right back. All right, so I'm almost done with my first round of ribbing. I did my front post, my back post, and we are up to, see, this is the first post of that cluster, and then we have this last one here that was sort of the odd man out. So around this one, I'm going to do a front post. And actually, as far as looks go, I think it works because this chain 2 is sort of recessed backwards. So when we slip stitch into the first of our front posts, I think it works quite nicely. At least I think so. What do you think? All right, so from here, for your next round, just chain up 2. And quite simply, front post around the front posts and back post around the back posts. So it's stitch for stitch, just being consistent with what they are. And just work your way all the way around, going stitch for stitch. Not increasing, not decreasing, just going with what is set before you. And it is as easy as that. And then, so just going to go all the way around. And then when you reach the beginning again, that would be a front post, a back post, a front post, and then slip stitch into the top of this first front post double crochet. And then me personally, I did one more round after this round, and then you would cut your end, sew in your end, and boom, you have yourself a nice little cuff. Okay, so now from here, going to show you how to go around the perimeter, the circumference, whatever you want to call it, of the entire piece to make it look nice and polished with some ribbing, which is very similar to this, but without the decreasing that we did a couple of rounds before. Okay, that being said, I'm going to finish off this cuff off camera, and I will meet back up with you for the final edging. Alrighty, so we are now going to be doing the final edging for the piece. And actually, what I did do was my last skein ended with this round here, the orange round. And then I started my fourth skein and did 2 more rounds just for good measure. And so what you do, quite simply, is chain up 4, just as we have been previously. 1, 2, 3, 4. And into the same space, double crochet. Okay. Because we still need that slight increase for the rounds. Okay. Then around the first double, do a front post, and then next one, back post, and then front post, and then back post after that, just so on and so forth. Just do your front and back posts alternately, and then I will show you what to do when you reach one of your corner points. It's really not tricky at all, but I like to be thorough. And so because the because the sides of my octagon have grown considerably, I'll show you what I mean. And it is all the way over here. That's my next point. So I'm going to do my front and back posts all the way across and then show you what to do when you reach your next corner point. Okay, I'll be right back. Alrighty, so I'm almost to the corner point, and this may seem a little bit weird, but that's why I'm trying to be thorough. So what I'm going to do is do the next couple of stitches. Got my back post and my front post, and then into that chain 2 space, quite literally, we're going to do the same thing that we have been doing previously. Into the chain 2 space, after doing your front post, go in with a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet, and then proceed by doing a front post first, and then a back post, and then front post, back post, front post, front post, back post. Say that 5 times fast. Just, keep going in the same ribbed fashion, front, back, front, back, front, back. And then when you reach your next chain 2 space, again, going from the front post and then going into the chain 2 space with a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Okay? And then what I'm going to show is the following round. It's slightly different. So again, for the sake of being thorough, I'm going to finish up the rest of this round off camera, and we will go from there. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm almost done with this first round of ribbing. Just got a couple more stitches to go. I like to do sort of a follow-up recap for all of you, because this isn't your typical edging. It's not your typical ribbing. So I figure, why not? Okay, so I still need to do this front post right here. This last one, there we go. And then do our slip stitch join to our corner in the third chain from the bottom. There we are. Slip stitch. And then slip stitch into the chain 2 space. Okay, so now things are a little bit reversed. So, and what I mean by that is from here, going to, again, chain up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And double crochet into that chain 2 space. Okay, see, and what I mean by reversed is, see, we have a front post here, so then that means this one needs to be a back post. It's a little bit fiddly, but it can be done. So we have double crochet, chain 1 space, and a double crochet, then our back post, and then a front post, because for the sake of the ribbing, you need to follow suit. Front posts with the front posts and back posts with the back posts, like so. So then if we are to go to the next corner, I'm just going to skedaddly do on over. I'm not going to actually do the stitching at this moment, but I'm going to show you when you get to your next corner. I'm just going to do this sort of hodgepodge, if you will. Just pull out some more yarn. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a sort of makeshift front post double crochet right there. Okay, very, very makeshift. And then back post into this one. Now, I'm not saying for you to do this. I'm just explaining when you get up to the next corner what it would look like. See, back post in the back post, front post in the front post, back post for this next one here. And then in the chain 2 space, you would do a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet, and then a back post. And then a front post, and so on and so forth. Now, if you want to do another round on top of this, which if you want a nice wide sort of edging, well, then in the next round, you would be doing front post, back post, front post, back post, and then this one would be a front post. Okay, then you would do your double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, then front post, back post, because it follows suit with the rest of these stitches. So you have to accommodate in the middle here where the corner is, okay, because you still need to utilize the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the corner so that it's still increasing, but you need to accommodate what those other stitches are going to be on either side so that the ribbing continues to work logistically. I hope that makes sense. All right, so as far as the edge itself, frankly, I would say at least 1.5 inches, 2 inches, maybe even more. It depends on your personal preference and taste. You know, me, I would say, 2 to 3 inches would make a really nice edge for a collar and for the bottom and so forth. That's just me. Okay, so going to do the rest of this off camera with, a bunch of rounds, and I will meet back up with you. Alrighty, get to it. Alrighty, so after doing about 4 rounds of the ribbing, I think this will suffice for me. And I mean, you could, of course, make it much wider if you want it to be more accentuated. I think that this is just fine for me. Yeah. So, and then, of course, you would just sew in your ends. And the green is where I left off. So what I did was I just went underneath the stitches a little bit for about 2 inches, and I just worked my way back, and it's nice, it's neat, it's clean, and you don't see the tail whatsoever. So, that being said, I hope you liked this tutorial, and if you did, please give a little thumbs up button down below. And I know that this is more of a formula than a direct pattern, and that is why, you really are going to need to do a little bit of fiddling and finagling when it comes to the armholes. I understand that, and I'm sure that I'm probably going to get some questions about um, how much yarn you're going to need or how many rounds you need to do. There is a little bit of experimentation involved. I will be the first to admit it because I had to experiment. Um, and also, the thing is, you have to consider I have a fairly small frame. Some of you have a bigger frame. So you're going to need more yarn. You're going to need more rounds. That's okay. But, just keep in mind that we're all different. Let's embrace that difference and make something beautiful together. All right, so that being said, until next time, I hope you have a great day. And I, of course, want you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, and please stay safe. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.